And a pleasant good Wednesday evening, and welcome to the month of March. I'm Chase Miller, and as always, the YourLiveEvent.com Coaches Show is presented to you by the Hillsborough Economic Development Corporation. We'll get a ton of basketball talk, but we'll also sprinkle in a little hockey and softball here this week. We'll talk with Tim Howell with the North Dakota Softball All-Stars, the president of where the Softball All-Star Series will be here in the month of June in both Fargo and Bismarck. It's the 10th year anniversary this summer, and we'll have it for you on YourLiveEvent.com. So looking forward to our conversation with Tim. Then we'll get some basketball preview here for the State A girls basketball tournament in Jamestown, which is already going to be tomorrow slash Thursday, March the 5th. We'll talk with Jason Brend of Thompson, Sam Brandt of Kindred, and Jimmy Howard of the Valley City Highlanders. From there, Kennedy Blair of West Fargo United, they won a high school championship in girls hockey from the Shields Arena this past weekend in Fargo. We'll talk with her about a state hockey championship, crowning moments, and we'll get to our senior spotlight with Sawyer Hesse of Kindred, who made his commitment to Bethel for collegiate football coming up in the fall. But first, let's get to our one-on-one conversation with Tim Howe here, talking a little softball to lead things off. Join us here is the president of the North Dakota Softball All-Star Series. That is Tim Howe. Join us. Crazy to think when he started this endeavor, it's been already now 10 years here as they reach that milestone here this summer with games at North Dakota State coming up on June the 1st and Bismarck Legacy on June the 2nd as well. Tim, I guess we'll start with the 10-year anniversary. Just what's it been like for you to see this culminate now to a decade of showcasing some of the best talent across the state here in high school softball?
Yeah, Chase, thanks for having me. It's been incredible. It's hard to believe it's been 10 years sometimes, and sometimes it's hard to believe it's only been 10 years maybe. But I still remember every detail of that very first day of year one out in Mandan. I mean, I think I've told the story a lot of times. We heard so many no's along the way to even get to that first day, and really proud of where it's come. But I can be real honest now that we got into 10 years. We had no idea what we were getting ourselves into. We didn't know if it would work. We didn't know what it would be like. And even that very first year was great. It was competitive. It was fun. A lot of people came out. And I think if I remember right, there were two kids in that very first group of year one that went on to play college softball of any kind. And look back at last year and kind of looking ahead to some of the kids that I think will have an opportunity to maybe play this year. I mean, we're talking about like half the rosters now are going to play college softball. And if the kids aren't going to play college softball, a really good chunk of them are going to play another sport in college. And then, you've got people that are taking like military tracks. We've had a few of those the last couple years. Like the athlete that plays softball in North Dakota has grown so much over the last 10 years. At least for me, that I think has been the most, I don't know, fun and rewarding part of the last decade.
And I know talking with you, you've kind of said, hey, we want to branch this out as best as we can. It's great to go to Bismarck. It's great to go to a Castleton or a Fargo consistently. But last year was new going to the Magic City and then also going to the campus of UND with their brand new softball digs. And how fun is it this year, Tim, to play this tournament in Fargo, but the first time now at North Dakota State at their softball complexes, which has hosted a state softball tournaments as well in recent years.
Yeah, personally couldn't be more excited. I'm an NDSU alum, and when we were trying to figure this out in year one, we tried to figure out how to play at NDSU. Now, times have changed. The complex there now compared to what it was 10 years ago is night and day. It's a beautiful Division One complex now. But I think what I've reflected on as we finally signed the deal on Monday with NDSU to make it official, every place we've played has been great. Like Mandan was tremendous hosts when we kind of didn't have a place to go. Played at Mickelson and Fargo for a couple years, which is, I don't know, there's just something cool about it. It's kind of like down a little bit lower than everything around it, and a kind of a neat environment. And then, you mentioned Bismarck. This will be, shoot, I put this in the release last week, but I don't know, five or six times, I think, for Bismarck, and they have treated us so well. UND last year was probably a culmination of adding some board members that are on the UND Division One softball roster, and they said, "Well, why don't you come up here and play?" Minot, you mentioned when I called Thor, who's just super involved in all the softball stuff out west, and I think rang once maybe. And I texted him before that, and he answered and said, "Is this the call I've been waiting for 10 years?" And it was cool that they wanted to host. Castleton, always been incredible. Can't get Scott to coach all the time, like we'd like, but he's always out there helping. I think that's fun. But then NDSU, like we needed to close the loop eventually, right? And make sure we played at the two Division I complexes in the state. So being able to do it this year is awesome. It's been tricky. There's different regulations to play at a Division I facility because their recruiting calendar, some of the non-contact stuff, some of the things that we can or can't do being on their campus and at their facility during the recruiting blackout period. So it's been a fun adventure to get through, but I can't wait for June 1st when we're out on the field at
Yeah,
NDSU.
June 1st, June 2nd as well. We'll have it if you can't make it in person for those that are out of state, so to speak, on your live event. We've had it the last couple of years. And Tim, if no one has seen the event, we'll talk about some of the athletes here that have played in previous years that have gone on to play collegiately, as you kind of alluded to, Tim. But if someone hasn't been part of the Shield Softball All-Star Series, new to the area, just kind of take us through what that, game or the home run derby, stuff of that nature is kind of like if someone has never actually been to one of these events before.
Yeah, great question. For starters, it is, relatively similar to the volleyball series or basketball or even the football all-star game. What I think makes ours a little bit different is we're basically in season, right? Like the season ends on Saturday, and historically we play Monday and Tuesday. So we're getting these athletes, either drained out from their season. I like to think though at peak performance as their seasons are wrapping up. But yeah, it's an East versus West setup. You get, 12 to 15 of the best seniors from each side of the state to go against each other. We play 3 games, which I think is fun that we've evolved to that. So like there is a winner, right? Somebody's going to win at least 2 out of the 3 games. And then yeah, a couple years in, we wanted to do something a little bit different, so we put together a skills competition. And honestly, if we're real transparent here, we planned it like the night before. We tried it the first time, and it was a hit. The kids had a lot of fun. It's running the bases, who can do that the fastest, some throwing accuracy on the infield and the outfield, and then we do a modified home run derby. And that's been really fun. There's one girl, I won't call her out, but she pays attention every year because she set one of the records in one of the categories, probably now 4 or 5 years ago, and she checks in with us every year to see if she still holds the record. That's kind of been a cool addition to our event.
Yeah, I went through just the rosters this morning, and I could probably name all these different players here, Tim. But some of them that stand out, obviously, Ellie Brandt a couple of years ago from Renville County. She went on to go play collegiately. You look at Logan Gromberg. I just remember her throwing a nasty changeup to Addie Wagner in Bismarck, and those two just kind of had a smile on each other's faces. And Addie's going, "I was waiting for something 60, 70, and here comes a changeup that I have to go swing at." Lauren
Yep.
Diemert from West Fargo, Haley Holzer from Central Cast. There's just been really good quality athletes here. So, what's it been like to see some of these athletes, as you alluded to, Tim? What are their experiences that you've kind of heard after a quick turnaround from the season, right, to where they might play in Bismarck or Minot, then they're coming to Fargo and wherever for the respective tournament that year? But what's it like seeing some of these athletes move on in the respective sport, particularly here in softball?
So much fun. You mentioned quite a few Class B kids right there. And I vividly remember a conversation that I had when we were trying to get this up and running, 10 years ago. And the look on the person across the tables from me face when I was explaining that these A and B kids would play together. And oh, that's never going to work. You can't tell. Like when they get out on the field together, you can't tell. It's like I'm from Minnesota and I played hockey growing up, and the saying was kind of like, if you were good, they'll find you. It doesn't matter if your team's good. It doesn't matter how, they'll find you and you'll have your opportunities. I think this has been a little bit of that, right? The B kids, if you go look through the records, there's plenty of kids who hold records that went to Class B schools. So that's something that stands out to me. Um, what be 4 years ago now, 5 kids from that alumni class all went on to play Division I softball, and we're going to have our first two complete their Division I careers this year with Taya Hopfoff from Dickinson and from Bismarck, one of our board members, Brooklyn Morris. And like those are things that again, people just told me that what didn't exist, right? There's not enough talent in North Dakota, all these things. And, maybe they were right. We were talking about this in our last board meeting. We may have been a few years ahead of ourselves in getting it going, but so glad we did because the opportunity now, um, is in a good place because we did that. And I would add one other thing that what I think is cool is when we get the sisters, right? Especially when they're separated by a few years and when you talk to them at the event, the younger of the sisters, like they wanted this real bad because their older sister had a chance to play in it and then they kind of had it earmarked on that's something that I want to do and want to have an opportunity to play in when I get a little bit older. So those are what I think have been rewarding and seeing the growth and kind of the excitement around the game and then the future of these student athletes.
Yeah, and again, it's the best seniors from that respective class that have an opportunity to come through. Tim, one or two questions before I let you go. How do they get nominated? Is this something that, a coach says, hey, I really like Tim over here. I think you should look at X player. Is it they have to have certain numbers? Spring sports is unique in its own right. Some years you get all the games in, other years you get 5 games in, it feels like, before you get to postseason play, Tim. So how do you go about, selecting the student athletes that have an opportunity to compete here in this softball All-Star series?
Great question. And we probably don't talk about that enough, so I'm glad you asked. It is purely the coaches that drive this. Really, our role in this is to do some roster management, right? Like make sure we got enough catchers and pitchers. And maybe we should have one infielder or two infielders just to make sure we're not, putting somebody who's played center field their whole life and now you got to come play shortstop or third base or whatever. So we just do a little bit of roster management, but otherwise there's a nomination period early in the spring season. All the coaches can nominate any senior, all the seniors, whoever they feel would be a good representation from their program. And then it's voted on by region. So like all the EDC coaches will get to vote from the pool of EDC nominated student athletes. And then what's really nice is when you get good engagement, which we have, like 80 to 90% of the coaches nominate and vote, you'll see the easy cut lines. That kind of determines if we have 12 kids or 14. And then, like I said, the worst part probably is when we come in and we have to go, all right, okay, there's one catcher. How do we do some roster management to make sure we have two and do some of that? But really a grassroots coaches driven deal. And, as long as I'm involved, it'll be that way forever because I think that's the best way to do it.
Final thing that I'll ask you, Tim, and I know there still might be some stuff in the works, but what can people expect 10-year anniversary? I know before we did the interview, you mentioned, you've been around long enough. Now there's some alumni that have gone through college and they're done with college. Now they're getting into their respective careers. You get others that are going through and they have played NAIA D3, D2, D1 softball and going through to see what that's like, and some currently in the system as it stands. So what can people kind of expect that might be a little different this year or similar in terms of games? All-Star Series competitions with the home run derby, the fastest around the bases, all that stuff as we get ready for June 1st and June 2nd.
Yeah, we really want to make it a celebration. It's kind of a word that we've landed on in our discussion. So you'll still get all the stuff we talked about. We'll still have the 3 games. We'll still have the skills competition. But we really want this to be, I don't know. It's not, I don't know if it's fair that we use the word alumni when we get the kids for like 2 days a year, but we like it, so we stick with it. But we're planning to invite alumni back. We have a little bit of a teaser. We have 2 alumni that are going to have a pretty nice surprise for them in Fargo. And probably happen while you guys are broadcasting. So I think that'll be really cool. We're putting together, let's call it a panel I think for day 2 out in Bismarck of some alumni who've gone through this event and gone to play in college and kind of just like a college readiness, not specifically sports, but like that's kind of one of the things that we want to lean into a little bit more as we move forward to is education. And that's an opportunity to be like, how do you do time management in college? What's different, especially if you're playing a sport? So looking forward to that. And then we want to see how many alumni are planning to come. We want to get as many back as we can and then make some fun plans around that. But hopefully in both cities, hopefully both in Fargo and in Bismarck.
Hey, Tim, thanks so much for your time. Looking forward to chatting with you as we get a little bit closer, getting you guys on the softball diamond. Always a fun time of the year with the spring, getting into early part of the summer, and looking forward to, again, June 1st at NDSU and June 2nd at Bismarck Legacy for the 10th edition of the Shield Softball All-Star Series.
Can't wait. Thanks for having us, Chase.
Again, that's Tim Howe with us here on the YourLiveEvent.com Coaches Show.
If you have concern or questions about the mental health of yourself or a loved one, Trail District Health Unit's Credible Mind platform offers convenient and confidential resources to help inform you about mental well-being. Credible Mind offers 21 different assessments to guide you in your mental health journey, from sleep quality and burnout to anxiety and depression. To get started today and learn about your mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual health, visit traildistricthealthunit.crediblemmind.com.
Welcome to the city of Hillsboro, a small town with big opportunity. Here, you don't just find a house, you find a quality of life. Safe neighborhoods, affordable living, and a community that treats your family like their own. Build your dream home with lots starting at an attractive price, and enjoy homeowner incentives and grant funds to help make it yours. Come live, work, and thrive in Hillsboro, where you don't just live, you belong.
Join us from the Thompson Tommy perspective here as they get ready for the State A girls basketball tournament coming up here at the Jamestown Civic Center on Thursday. They got the first game of the day at 1 o'clock against the Rugby Panthers here in the Buffalo City. Join us again, Jason Brend. Jason, before we talk about your opponent, back-to-back years playing rugby at State, let's recap the Region 2 girls basketball tournament coming out with a championship, earning a berth to the state tournament as well. Your run through Mayport CG, beating Devils Lake on their home court in the semifinals, then a whale of a game with the Carrington Cardinals to come out with the championship as well. Just what did you see from your team in 3 days up at Devils Lake that you hope to carry over here to the state tournament?
Well, I'll tell you what, it was a tough stretch for us, Chase. It really is. I mean, tournament weeks are always difficult because there's so many games in a short amount of time. But, starting off with Mayport, I mean, that's an old rival of ours. I mean, we've been rivals with Mayport for many, many, many years, and you just never know what's going to happen in those games. But, the kids came in really focused and ready to roll, and I thought they did just a fantastic job defensively in that game. And, we got the ball rolling on the offensive end, and things just kind of continued to stretch for us, which was fantastic. Moving into the semifinals, you nailed it on the head. I have no problem going to Devil's Lake to play in the regional tournament, but when you got to play on somebody's home court, it's definitely an advantage to them. Even just us hopping on the bus for an hour and 45 minutes compared to them driving a few blocks away is a little different. So, that was definitely a different situation. And, Devil's Lake, that's a good basketball team right there. They know how to make a game ugly. They want you to play as fast as you can. Well, not as fast as you can play, faster than you can play, I guess would be a better way to put it. They try to speed you up and get all the players on their opponent's team probably in the red, I guess, RPM wise, and I thought we did a pretty good job of handling that for the most part. The pressure's coming full court and half court, and they're always good to make you make a few errant passes throughout the game and maybe some untimely ones at that. But, I thought for the most part, kids really in the second half especially played with a lot of composure and did a nice job of, handling them. And then moving into Carrington and I don't know, for whatever reason, I felt really comfortable going in that game. I think our kids had a really good practice the night before in preparation for them. And, we kind of knew what we had to do on the defensive side. And I thought we did a great job of executing and running them off that 3-point line and not giving them offensive rebounds and looking good shots in the paint. But, on the offensive side, you still got to put the ball in a hole, and they're a great defensive team. So I thought we did a pretty good job of getting good movement, and the shots found us more than us going hunting for them.
And obviously, it was your birthday as well. The girls come up afterwards. They sing you happy birthday. I know you and I kind of we're texting a little bit, just saying, "Hey, happy birthday." If folks don't know, we both like a Dr. Pepper, so that's always gets thrown in there. And I know you kind of said it became maybe that was a moment that you took in a little bit, Jason, at that point. So now that you're a few days removed from the championship, the birthday, the whole team coming up singing to you, just kind of what do you remember, I guess, from that particular night on Thursday? Still business to be taken care of here in Jamestown this week, but what can you kind of soak in from the memory bank, up at Devil's Lake?
It's funny you ask that because it's after the game, a lot of it is kind of blurry. I can remember talking to our athletic director and principal after the game and some people, but not everybody. You always wish you could talk to people more and get in a few things. But like you mentioned, when they're doing your live event interview there after the game, and the girls come up and saying that was pretty special. It really was. And I would even say it was kind of hard, if you will. It's a great group of kids, and they mean a whole lot to me, and I know they mean a lot to each other. So it's just a fun group. So it was really, really a special night. And the birthday is one thing, whatever. But I'm just proud of those girls because they went out and took care of business. And, I think right now they're kind of turning the page and thinking we have more business to take care of this week.
We'll talk about some of the players here in a moment, but the state qualifiers, particularly in the East and in the West, for crying out loud, were really good games here, Jason. But in the East, those were dogfights in Mayville. Is that a precursor of what we're going to see here at the state tournament from your perspective in terms of the teams that have make it to state with different styles of play? Maybe you haven't seen a rugby all year, but you played them last year and know a little bit about a Jen in some other ways. So what do you kind of make of what the state tournament's going to be from your perspective here?
I think you nailed it. I was able to go over and watch the games over at Mayville State for the qualifier on Saturday, and everything's so close. But if you think about it now, ever since we've gone to the three divisions of basketball, there's so much more parity than there used to be. There's no nights that you can just take off. So in reality, you get that deep into tournaments, it's going to be some great games. And now in the state tournament, I know they have to rank in order to set up games and such, but in reality, those numbers can get thrown out the door once the brackets are set, because there's not a team in that tournament that isn't a really good basketball team and can really do some damage when they get there. So, preparation is going to be important. And then once you get there, execution.
Jason, we got the region champs. Obviously, you get 3 players in the alt region team with Addie Sage, Kaya Hurst, Claire Colleen, and Miss Sage as well, this senior athlete of the year. What did those 3 just kind of mean to the group this season to get that honor and recognition from opposing coaches, first and foremost in the region as all region selections?
It's always nice to hear people talk about, your kids. And, those are kids that have definitely earned it, I believe. They've been playing for us in our rotation. The first 2 you mentioned have been playing since 8th graders, and that's Sage and Hurst. And Colleen was actually up on the team at that age, just not quite in the rotation yet. And she's worked herself into that rotation here for the last handful of years as well. So just a great bunch of kids that, this might be one of the tightest teams that we've had in a while. I mean, everybody seems to get along, and talking with some individuals last night, said maybe it has to do with in the fall, a handful of kids play volleyball, a handful of them are in golf. And in the spring, a handful of them are in softball, and a handful of them in track. And, maybe the fact that it's not the exact same kids always together, we get to bring them all together for basketball, but maybe that helps with everybody getting along. But that certainly helps, and it's a lot of fun to see how they kind of just react and go back and forth with one another.
When you look at the Rugby Panthers, I mean, shoot, if you don't need to score 30 points to win a basketball game, I think that says a lot in its own right here, Jason, in a qualifier, minimizing Dickinson Trendy to nearly 0 points in the last 16 minutes. So when you take a look at a Jen Brossart team here, team here for the Rugby Panthers, defense, I think folks remember from the Kindred Rugby Championship at the Betty a few years back. Yeah. And I think if you score 40 against Rugby, you feel like it might be 80 sometimes, depending on how they play. So what's it like going up against the Rugby Panthers, and what makes them similar or different as you've seen for this season?
Yeah, you nailed it on the head. I mean, Jen does such a fantastic job, especially coaching the defensive side of the ball. And, year in and year out, whether they're the most talented team or not the most talented team, they're going to be in the hunt because they know how to defend and they know how to rebound, and they're disciplined on the offensive side of the ball. So, it's a tough out. It really is. It's a situation where, to score 29 points in the winter or state qualifier, excuse me, that's pretty amazing. And we've watched quite a bit of film on them here now the last handful of days, and it seems to be the norm. In most games, there's a lot of really, really good teams that they've held in check. So we've got to figure out ways to maybe crack that shell a little bit or get in the middle of that the heart of their defense. But it's going to be a lot harder than a lot of people anticipate, because it's a really good basketball team. And also, we've heard a lot of people, wow, they only scored 29 points. So how, but in reality, that's kind of the way their system works. It's kind of like, NDSU in football, where they want the defense, to limit the, for the offense and things like that. Time of possession is important. They might run their offense for 30 seconds and, situations like that. So, they're a really good basketball team. It's certainly a team that we can't overlook, having played them last year in a state tournament as well. You got a little bit of a familiarity, and I've known Jen for a lot of years now too. So, it's just going to be a fun matchup, and I think it's going to be a really tough, difficult one. I think it's going to be a hard-fought game for both teams.
Hey, Jason, as always, thanks so much for your time. We'll see you out in the Buffalo City, and best of luck here at the state tournament.
All right. Thanks, Chase.
And again, Jason Brend, head coach of the Thompson Tommies, will have all 3 games here, audio only. We'll follow Thompson at state coming up this week here on YourLiveEvent.com.
Hillsborough Economic Development Committee supports businesses in the Hillsborough community in the form of loans and grants. Experience Hillsborough. There's more at 104.
Join us from the Kindred Vikings perspective as they get ready for the state girls basketball quarterfinal round action going up against the Hesse Bison. Late game coming up here. We'll have it for you for audio only on yourliveevent.com following the Vikings for all 3 days in Jamestown. Sam, before we talk about Hazen, let's just kind of recap the Region 1A tournament at the Shack. What did you just see from your team in those 3 days that now you can kind of have some time to reassess, look at the film, talk it over with your staff that you hope to carry over from the Shack into the Civic Center coming up here in Jamestown?
Confidence and almost a very veteran-like maturity. That's what I saw. That's what I saw, especially in that championship game. Um, these kids have been so fun to watch grow and challenge, and we've had our fair challenges compared to other teams. And for them to be able to get it done the way they got it done, it made a big statement, and we've heard a lot about it by other people.
As you move forward here and you take a look at the Hayes and Bison, not a ton of crossover games. They did play at Carrington and Northern Cass, stuff of that nature here, Sam, but a team that won a region tournament, a team that's got 20 plus wins, only 2 losses on the year. So when you put Hazen on, I know when I talk to you, you like to say we like to focus on us and what we can do. But when you look at your opposition here in a quarterfinal round matchup, Sam, what kind of stands out with the Hazen Bison here?
Yeah, they've got some good guard play. I can tell that they're going to bring some defensive pressure. For us, we like to prepare them as much as we feel like they can control. So we'll talk about tendencies and talk about personnel and what to expect. Other than that, we are just going to finesse and make sure that we come out ready to play for anything, because we all know tournament time, everything starts over, things get bigger, and they just need to be prepared.
What does it mean for this one? I know we kind of talked about this too, but if folks didn't listen to the broadcast or see the broadcast back in the championship, what does it mean for this squad that has been so close in qualifiers last couple of years, Sam, to get over that hump and know that you got 3 more games, win, lose, or draw with this team at a state tournament here this weekend?
So special. It's so exhilarating, exciting. They've surprised me every step of the way, and I think they've surprised so many people across the state. For you to say in November that I was going to be taking this group of 8 to the state tournament, I would have maybe looked at you and second guessed it. Not that I didn't think it was going to happen, but I knew it was going to be a tough road. And these girls have not only stepped up and did exactly what they needed to do every single day in practice and in games, but they become so close to each other that you can see it on the floor. And I just can't wait for them to be able to show everybody.
The headliner on the marquee obviously has been Liza Trembeth, Sierra Nipstead, and Trembeth. When you just look at scoring this season for the Vikings, I think I tallied it up. 162 of the 200 points at the region tournament were by those two. So that's just over 80%, Sam. And that's nothing new to people who have watched your team throughout the course of this season. What has it allowed those two, that one can maybe go off for 21 night, go off for 10, but then the other scores 30 or goes, off for 42? What's it been about that combination that people just haven't seen in your estimation, whether it's been in the gym, on the court, film room, anything above outside of, playing 32 minutes of basketball?
Their IQ is above a lot of high school athletes, and Sierra is only a sophomore and Liza's a senior, but they complement each other so well. Liza is so positive and brings so much energy, as where Sierra's just like calm, cool, collective, zero emotion. You could tell she has zero worries anytime she plays. So for them to have the IQ, the athletic ability, and for them to balance each other, it's a deadly combination. And putting them in the right defensive setting, it turns a lot of defense into offense.
As you move forward here, just the role players, right? I was kind of joking with Emma Mathis that, hey, you were the leading scorer after one quarter. It was a 7-4 game. She hits the baseline triple, Sam. But when you can get stuff like that going to a Starsvik, to a McQuillan, to a Mathis, and just company across the board, what do those kind of role players do, even though they might not be asked to carry the load offensively, but obviously steals, tips, deflections, getting players open, just kind of what do they do in your system that has worked really well to get to a state tournament?
The dirty work. Always the dirty work, getting in there, making things difficult for others defensively, boxing out, getting on the floor. We talk every game. It's all about small goals. All of you have the ability to score a layup and 2 free throws every quarter. That's 16 points. You can do that, and having the mindset of everyone's a threat, no matter what aspect of the game they're in, whether it's defense or offense or even on the bench. So these guys have understood it, taken it, rolled with it, love their roles, and they just make it such a team cooperative or team thing that it's hard to stop.
You know, the qualifiers were just dogfights at Mayville State. Is that a prelude of what's going to come here in Jamestown, Sam, with the 8 teams across the board? Seeing what the third year of 3 division basketball is, just kind of take us through your thoughts on just the 8 teams that are left and what fans can expect once they get out to the Buffalo City.
Those qualifier games are the fourth game in 6 days for all those teams, and it's really hard to play those games. You're fatigued, and it's do or die time. So I think that has some play into what it looks like. Now everyone's got another week rest, and they're all coming ready to prepare to fight for 3 more games and extending their season, where majority of the teams don't get to do that this week. So I have a feeling it's going to be quite competitive. I have a feeling there's going to be some great games and some great talent that we all get to watch this week.
A final thing that I got for you, Sam, just going through obviously Hazen #1, but trying to see that ultimate goal. Just what do you want to see from your team coming up here at Jamestown for 3 games, more importantly against the Bison, on that final game of the quarterfinals on Thursday night?
Yeah, they're going to handle everything with confidence. Nothing is scary at this point. We don't let traps get scary. We don't let turnovers get scary. We don't let the lights get scary. They've handled absolutely everything with so much poise and confidence that I want that to keep going. On top of that, I want them to be prepared, confident in the game plan, in each other, in their own skill, and mostly they need to have a lot of fun. You can talk with any of the athletes that we've won state championships with, and they don't remember the scores. They don't remember how many points they scored. It's really about making the memories and connecting with the ones that you've worked so hard for that one goal all year. And for these guys to do it with 8, it's even more a strong connection and so fun to see.
Sam, as always, thanks so much for your time. Looking forward to seeing you on Thursday at the Jamestown Civic Center.
Yeah, thanks, Chase.
And again, Sam Brandt, head coach for the Kindred Vikings, will have all 3 of their games audio-only coverage right here on your live event. Join us from the Valley City Highlanders' perspective is their head coach, that's Jimmy Howard, and the Highlanders have made it back to a state tournament here for the 3rd consecutive season since the separation of Division A girls basketball, and they had to earn it this year here in this one. Jimmy, before we talk about state, your opponent, Devil's Lake, just go through what, the region tournament was, to the quick turnaround to a qualifier, the roller coaster of what the last 2.5 minutes of that game was with Carrington on Saturday. So how has it been for your perspective in this year's version of this year's team having to make it back to a state tournament?
Question on whether or not the 1 seed getting a bye and not getting to play that first day is a benefit or not. But I would say, we didn't have a lot of super close games throughout the season. And so understanding, like, you got to ratchet up the intensity. I know the girls know they're supposed to do that, but when you haven't had to actually do it, I think that kind of came into play a little bit on Tuesday night with Central Cass. Granted, they shot phenomenal. They played fantastic. They went and won that game. And so then we had to regroup. And, we hadn't had to all season. And our back was really against the wall on Thursday, down 14 heading into the 4th, and we just weren't playing well. We weren't moving the ball. It was like everyone was trying to be the reason we were going to win, and it just wasn't working. And so we hadn't pressed in a long time and decided, like, we got to throw whatever against the wall, see what sticks. And we ended up causing a bunch of turnovers and going a 27-8 run in the 4th quarter and get a win. And then you turn around and there's the number 2 team in the state. They also stumbled, and now we got to play them, who just beat us at the end of the season. And I'm sure they had a lot of confidence with that as well. And knowing, their program, they're very good, very well coached. They're very, they run their stuff very well. And so we got into that game, and we get it going, and I think we kind of found at the end of the game against Wahpeton our excitement again. And so we get into that game, and we're playing well, and the kids are high-fiving, and we're excited about everything. And then that last 2 minutes, all of a sudden, they hit shots they hadn't been making. We had a couple turnovers. My wife was like, geez, like, we didn't want the ball. And I said, well, it really wasn't that many turnovers. I said, they just hit threes, and you can make up points real fast with that. And so they did, and then we came down. We had a shot earlier, about a minute to go, and we missed. And I was like, I think we might be, we missed that. And that Katie Birchall normally makes that play. And I'm like, man, we might be done. that might be it. And, we end up with a foul, and she only makes one of two, I think, is what she made at the free throw line. And so now we're only down two ties it. We come down 20 seconds to go or whatever. They're in man, and we had the matchup we wanted. And we threw it inside, and of course she goes up and misses the first, and I'm going, well, it's a sign we're done. And she grabs the rebound, goes back up, gets fouled, and hits a clutch free throw after airballing her last one, and should have gotten a steal in the last 10 seconds. We don't. They pull it up. We have a contest, hits the front of the rim, bounces up, and you're going, well, and then it bounces out, and then it's just complete joy. And I think the girls really found their excitement for basketball and excitement for winning again. Expectations were huge all season, and it almost became like winning was just supposed to happen, and we weren't going to be excited about it. And I think we refound that passion and lit a little fire under ourselves.
Yeah, as you get ready for this week, what has it been like this year? Obviously, you've been through a qualifier before, you've been through a region championship game before. You've had a little extra time, didn't have to worry about the quick 24 to 40-hour turnaround with the qualifier, Jimmy. So, what is this year's version of Highliner girls basketball? What's something that comes to mind, allowing yourself to know that you got 3 games left, which is what you want? You want to end at a state tournament, win, lose, or draw. So, what is it about this year's team that's allowed your squad to get back, do you think, this season?
I think, and I don't want to always say this, but I think we found some mental toughness at the end there. I mean, your back's against the wall, down 14 in the fourth. You scored 30 points in 3 quarters, and you haven't done anything well. And you scored 27. You on a 27-8 run. 1 quarter we scored as much as we did basically in 3. We could have shipped it in right there. Like, we're done, guys. Like 14, and we just can't get it going. And then you go up to the play-in game, and once again, we have the lead, and you feel like we're going to kind of run away with it, just kind of maybe just keep it at 10 points and finish it out. And, a couple things happen. All of a sudden, we're down 1. We didn't panic. We didn't ship it in again, and we made the play, and the girls knew where to go with the ball and who should have it. And so I just think we really developed, I'm hoping, some mental toughness over the last 5 quarters of basketball, and you're going to need that at the state tournament. Things aren't going to go your way, and you could end up stumbling, and somebody plays the game of their life, and you don't play well, or maybe they're just better at that day, and how do you respond? Because you got more games. You get 3 guaranteed, so you could stumble somewhere but still finish winning at the end of your season, and still make it a positive.
You look at your opponent, and Devils like you and them have had success here at a state tournament, obviously with what they did 2 years ago, with what you did last year. You played them 2 years ago, nearly played them, last year, depending on how the bracket was going to work. So when you think of a Justin Klein Devils like Firebirds team, just kind of what comes to mind for you here, Jimmy, for your opponent?
Aggression, trying, scrappy, trying to turn you over. They live in transition. They're going to be, they rebound. They're trying to be physical rebounding. We played them at the beginning of the year. They're a completely different team now. We're a completely different team. And you have to take care of the basketball against them, and you can't get rushed. If you're going to be rushed, you better be getting layups. Like, don't get rushed and shoot threes. That's exactly what they want you to do, because realistically, you're not going to make enough if they can keep running in transition to beat them. And so if you're going to do that and play fast, which we've done at times with them, is you have to make layups, you have to score inside, and make every time you beat the press matter. And so that's going to be huge. Can we take care of the basketball against them? And even if we do turn it over, can we cause turnovers and make the turnover margin small? I know 2 years ago at the state tournament, I think we had like 38 turnovers, but we also forced almost 30. So the turnover margin was really an 8 turnover difference or something like that. Yeah, you don't want to turn it over 38 times, but if you can turn another team over and you look at the turnover difference, man, if that's small, you give yourself a chance.
You go through this particular tournament and you got the 8 teams there, about back from, last year, some new faces in the squad. Just taking your team out of it here, Jimmy, is this going to be similar to what we saw in the qualifiers where there was just a lot of very close games in the West and the East? What do you kind of make of the matchups going into the quarterfinals and just the 8 teams that are still left standing?
Um, I think there's, and it just depends once again how teams play coming in. We've seen some of the teams from the West because normally we don't get to see a lot of them. We saw rugby at the rugby in Watford City at the Devil's Lake crossover, so I've seen them play. We got to play rugby. Haven't seen Hazen play in person. I've just seen stuff on film. Same with South Prairie Max, but South Prairie returned a lot of kids. I know what they kind of looked like last year. They're going to be really tough. Hazen, like I said, I just haven't seen them in person to really give but they're going to have to stop 2 really good scores from Kindred, and can they? We'll find out. Us and Devil's Lake going to be, I think it's going to be a battle. And then, rugby pulled a huge upset last year. I think they pulled an upset again this year. Can they pull another? Can they make the game difficult with Thompson? I'm going to assume Thompson's going to be a heavy favorite in that game, but I think once you get out of the first round, I think from there, there could be some blowouts. There might not be, but I think out of the first round on both sides, winning side and losing side, I think you're going to see a lot of really good games.
Final thing for me, Jimmy, what's the one thing you want to see from your team once you get to Jamestown?
Just the same passion we played with their back against the wall. I just told them the other day in practice, I said, why did we work so hard for the last 2 games if we're going to go and lay an egg? Like, we now know that we have to ratchet up our intensity level to a new level. Can we keep it there? I mean, you're asking a lot out of high school kids. We already were everything on the line, for 2 games. And, can you play like everything's on the line again?
Jimmy, as always, thanks so much for your time and best of luck here at the state tournament.
All right. Thank you very much.
We'll have the Highlanders Devils Lake game for you, audio only, coming up in the quarterfinals on Thursday from the Jamestown Civic Center.
Don't be fooled by that beat-up old cap. Its faded crown represents the tireless work of America's farmers and ranchers. Its sturdy brim, their dedication to providing our nation with a safe, affordable food source. So we'd like to tip our hat to them. Farmers Union Insurance, protecting those that protect America's food source.
Visit with Ryan Opdahl, your local Farmers Union Insurance agent in Hillsboro.
Hi, I'm Jennifer and I work at Marvin. The highlight of my day would be working with my crew. I love managing, I enjoy interacting with people and making their job easier. We always tackle every problem head on and we work as a team. It's nice going to work and, feeling valued for what you do and just getting to know everyone, and you just make friends here. If you're looking for career development opportunities, competitive pay, come join me at Marvin.
I'm joined here on the Your Live Event Coaches Show by Kennedy Blair of West Fargo United Girls Hockey, fresh off of a state championship. And Coach, take me through just the journey it's been with you taking over as head coach this year.
Yeah, I think it was really exciting in taking this job at the beginning of last April, after kind of a historic run last year. But it's been a lot of fun. I would say fun but hard, right? You have a whole new program where you're trying to get girls to buy into new systems, new culture, and all those pieces. So it was a fun, chaotic year, I would say.
Well, you're able to cap it off with the ultimate prize. So take me through just your recollection of that game and how that one turned out for you.
Yeah, just going into it, I knew the girls had some heavy legs. And all those pieces. But our number one thing at the beginning of the year was to make sure that we were the most conditioned team. And I knew going into that third game of the weekend was, hey, we're the most conditioned team here. If we can hold off for a full 3 periods, 51 minutes, we can go out on top.
Yeah, definitely. And what advantage does that conditioning bring once you get to postseason, that physical style of hockey, but then also just being able to outlast teams?
Yeah, I think conditioning is a huge factor, right? It doesn't come down to the skill and talent in those aspects at the state tournament, but you play to win in those moments and you try to play your top players as well. And hopefully that they're the most conditioned too. So, if you're watching the game, we went down to two lines maybe late in the second period and kind of were going back and forth between our top players there. But we had to make sure that those players were conditioned enough to be able to play in those moments at the end of the season.
Yeah. And then talk to me about some of those key players on those top few lines and just the contenders that you had.
Yeah, I would say our top line of Emma Hassler, Kaylee Ogdahl, and Payne Stalker were a tremendous line all year, right? They were always producing points for us. They're awesome on the PK. They're awesome on the power play. And they just work really, really well together. The nice part is that they're young and two will be returning next year. But they just had some chemistry that that worked well together. And then we had our second line that also worked pretty well together as well. Two young players on that line as well. So it took a while to get those lines to work and just get the feel of each other to be able to play together. But in the end, they played awesome.
Where did you see the biggest steps throughout the season from day one until you guys got to that state championship in just terms of progression?
Yeah, I think from day one, my number one goal going into this was, I mean, to win a state championship would be awesome, but I think just setting those expectations and standards right away, right, as a new head coach coming into a program that has had a coach there for about 20 years, right? So you just have to come in and build a whole new culture. So this kind of exceeded those expectations, but yeah, just I think there was a moment back in January where we were on like a 4 or 5 game losing streak, and I sat down with the seniors and just said like, hey, to turn this thing around, I need you guys to buy into this right now, right? And ever since that moment, they just kind of bought into the new systems, the new culture, and all those pieces. And I let them kind of take it over and said, hey, I can't control this anymore. This is something that you guys have to do. And in that moment too, it was kind of eye-opening for me because I expected them to know all the standards and expectations that I wanted for the program, but they were learning as well with every underclassman. So that was an eye-opening factor for me that I had to be more patient with those players as well.
Where does this one rank for you in just your hockey career, having some success of your own? When that clock hits 0 and you win that state championship, where does that rank on your hockey accolades list?
Yeah, one of the top for sure. I think it was super awesome to win it. I told someone on an interview a few days ago that 13 years ago I had the opportunity to win it as a player, right? And we win it as an underdog player as well. Our team with a new head coach too. So it was just ironic that this happened so many years later. Obviously winning a national championship is awesome too, but I think just winning it as a coach is so much better. Just seeing all those girls celebrate at the end, all the hard work that they put in all season. I think winning as a coach is very different as a player, right? There's two different feelings with that. So just super, super proud of the girls.
Yeah, you had some all tournament players in the tournament as well. Take me through just their performances too.
Yeah, I think our backbone of the team was Reagan Wilson. She's young. She's only a sophomore. She played a lot of big games this season, but I felt like she didn't reach her full potential until that state tournament where she was just making saves that I'm like, oh my goodness, like those are awesome, right? So I thought she was the star of our team this past weekend, and we relied on her in big moments and to shut down a team that was undefeated and not let a Division I player score on her. Like that's so cool for her. Emma Hassler stepped up in a big moment. She's a young one too, and she led this weekend as a sophomore, and that was awesome. It was just super cool to see those young girls step up in a big moment that they've never been a part of before.
Yeah. And like you said, you've got some returning players coming back for next year. So how does that advantage of you guys have now been to that state championship 2 years in a row and now got a win? How do you keep building on that with the core that you've got returning?
I think just sharing that this is our expectations and standards now, right? Like we are a team that is there to stay, no matter what seed we might go in next year, right? But yeah, just saying like, hey, this is our standard now. Like we are capable of getting to the state tournament and the state championship, and just kind of ingrilling that into the players as well. And that starts, in our off season now, right? Going into spring captain skates and summer skates with the girls, and then the fall skates that the captains run. It's just like, hey, this is the standard for and expectations for our program. How do we move forward and continue playing at a high level?
What characteristics do you think this team will be remembered for, this team that's now broken through to win state and just that underdog mentality that they've had the last couple of years? What characteristics did shown through the most?
I think they were gritty, and I think they played with a lot of hearts, right? Like I always tell people, like might not have the most talented or skilled team, but our team's going to play with a lot of heart. And they're going to show up in those big moments. So this team was super, super close. And I think it's going to be really hard for the seniors to leave. But yeah, they were the team that I remember most is they were just super close. Like I didn't, as a coach, you always hope that you don't have to deal with drama or conflicts within that locker room. And this year, as a first year, I didn't have to deal with any of that stuff. I mean, the captains dealt with it, or it was a team that didn't have any of that because they were so close and tight knit.
Yeah. Anything else that you would want people to know about this team?
That the best part is they didn't know how to celebrate, right? I think that's the exciting part. Is like, hey, this is your moment. You want it now, and now that those girls have been there, it's like they get that good feeling about it. But yeah, this group was just so excited to. As a first-year head coach, they made it easy. There was moments that were hard, but I would say they made it easy for me this year because they bought into new systems. They bought into a new culture. They bought into new expectations. And that's really hard, but I'm really proud of them for doing that. It might have took a while. They might have not done it till, week 14, 15, but they were patient with me as a new head coach, as a young female head coach. And I'm just super, super proud of them for doing that.
Well, congrats on the state title and the success of the season. So, Coach, thanks for joining me.
Yes, thank you so much. I appreciate you having me on.
That's Kennedy Blair joining us here on the Your Live Event Coaches Show.
This week's Dakota Heritage Bank Crowning Moments brings you highlights from your live event broadcasts, celebrating standout performances and achievements from our local athletes. These are the moments that inspire us all. Moments of determination, teamwork, and success. Dakota Heritage Bank, helping dreams come true. Sharing our heritage, sharing our future.
Dribbles and fires it over to the left corner, the three to cap it off. Neville Trenbeth, the 8th grader, checks in, cashes in, and the Tommies will cash out as the Region 2A champions. Happy 50th birthday to Coach Brend.
Shooting 500.
As
50%.
We've got the mob with happy birthday coming. Let's get this on camera.
Happy birthday, dear Lieutenant! Happy birthday to you!
Thank you very much.
In perfect harmony, just like the rest of the game. Coach, that's a great way to send it off. Congrats, and go get him at state.
Thank you very much.
Cole up the floor. Fury wraparound pass to Tristan Peterson. Left pocket three. Swirl that puppy in. Tristan Peterson now with 14 to lead the floor.
Porter, that's pass turned over, intercepted. Meidinger stretching the court. Soper dunk, two-handed. Thompson.
Lawrence will see this one up top. There's a steal. Oaks going the other side. Here's a Thorpe right-handed jam.
He will have first possession, working through this zone defense. Good cut. And the layup to boot. That's a nice play from Rayleigh Keller.
Front court for Central Cass. Near side, Flanagan. Three-pointer again. Yes, sir.
Winner off is spinning and scoring, and that is 1,000 career points.
Potrats with 6, gets pickpocket steal. Here goes Malk. Malk the other side up and over on the pass, trying to finish it here with Nelson to beat the horn. Oh, what a play.
To Ray, and then tipped away. Another turnover. 2-on-1 opportunity. Right back, extra pass. It's an easy layup for the Firebirds. Presley Brown.
Central Cass maybe gets going offensively. Nips it with a nice hesitation move to the paint with the left hand for 2. Get this one across, but a good hand by Rayshawn Earl. There's a turnover. They give it up the floor. Earl with another attempt for the one-handed slam. Oh, Rayshawn Earl with the poster.
Gang with the tie. Off the back iron, it falls. And Hillsborough Central Valley is knocked off number 1. 4 wins Minnewacan.
Got injured and hasn't played since then, so good to see her back on the floor. Tess with the 3, and she hangs the shooter's shot.
Kicks it back out to Peterson. 4 on the shot clock. Ball with a 3, it's good.
See Bryn Wiltsey played 9 games this season, battling through a little injury. Deep three-pointer by Diffording tickles a twine.
Northern cast the other way. Freilich at his pocket. Picked the steal by Andrew Ziemer. The layup is good.
See this to Poolskamp. Poolskamp to the paint, and Nipstead says, get that out of here. Sarah Nipstead with the block. Kindred goes to the other side of the floor. Nipstead with a little shake and bake move off the window for two. Oh, it's Sierra's world, and we're just living in it.
Thompson from the right wing into the lane stops. And Sunby, I'm not sure if you give her a block shot for that, but she certainly took the ball away. And a feed ahead of the crowd, scores and a foul.
Haug with it. Little hesitation to the left block. High off the window. Oh, Kenley Haug.
That is incredible right there. Addison Sage.
Over to Gavin MacArthur. MacArthur inside to Brody Lucka. Backside. Nice pass behind the back to Ethan Jackson, and he'll score two.
It's the play. Inside, White throws up the floater, gets it to go, and one. Open Thor for a 7th three-pointer of the game. Yes, sir! Thor with 27 on the night. Brodina gets the screen. Plenty of separation for a three-point shot. There it is.
That is a deep three-point shot.
Got a step. Nice block by Hudson Kosowski. We're in our final 10 seconds. Ivor gives to Whipple, and Whipple takes and makes. Beautiful take there.
For a moment to shake it off after taking that foul.
And then a turnover. Here comes Olsen the other way. 2-on-1 opportunity. She goes up by herself and one.
Schwab, how'd she keep the dribble? Oh my goodness, Andy Schwab to the ground. Oster pays it off.
Sizing up the defender, now trying to go by her. Behind the back dribble, pretty move, up and in for two.
Lawrence looking, Lexi Lawrence makes the move. Got the bounce and one.
Turnover on Park Christian 11. Here's Engel. Engel drives through inside. Got it to go! Somehow, someway.
By 9. Inbound, Hallstrom quickly back out to Binkley. She'll shoot the three, and that's good.
Trying to buckle down here defensively. Double team as they jump it. Corinta puts up a three. Bang!
Justin Quam left wing, right-handed side to Froelich. Froelich will launch a three-pointer. Got another one. Lick will see this one. Krohop in the paint, able to shovel past it to Rep, who gets fouled and counted. Kellen Rep, how do you do on a Monday? We'll see this here at the right wing, using up the dribble to Thor. Thor, he'll rise over Nitschke. Three! Bullseye! Hankinson sees it right inside. Peterson trying to get the steal. It's still loose, and eventually Fury comes away with it. Fury with a 3-on-2 now to Potts. Potts with the basketball. Euro step on Earl. Oh, what a move by Kyle Potts. Joining us here from Kindred for our senior spotlight this week is Sawyer Hesse. He recently just made his commitment to go to Bethel coming up here for collegiate football, part of the MIAC here in the fall. Sawyer, let's just start with that. What does it mean for you to have an opportunity to continue, being a collegiate student athlete coming up here, in a few months from now?
Yeah, just as a kid, I've always kind of, dreamed of going to the next level. Every kid dreams of going to the NFL, but this is just like a great opportunity, getting to learn from another group of older guys and go and just keep growing as a player and as a person.
As you move forward, what was I guess the right fit for you and Bethel? Just kind of take us through the recruiting process, and when you kind of figured, hey, you know what, this might be something that is an opportunity, then let's kind of put pen to paper and let's make this official.
Yeah, about halfway through the season, I got in contact with them, and it was pretty quick process. They got me out on the campus, and right when I got out there, I remember telling my dad about halfway through the visit there, I was like, I think this is the place. And it just kept, getting in communication with them, talking with the coaches. All the coaches have been great. I've been working with Coach Mack and Coach Dooling, and they're just great guys, loving guys, and they want the best for you. And the culture there is just, it's great. The coaches are always just trying to push you, but they're also trying to help you grow as a person.
As academically, when you move forward here, what's one thing you're going to be looking to study or kind of get into a little bit more once you get on campus?
I'm looking to study electrical engineering. And I guess I'm excited for that because my dad's in the electrical and power area. So I'm excited to, go the same route that kind of my dad took down. So
Yeah, have you had a lot of conversations and with your dad talking about electrical engineering? It kind of feels like I've talked to some kids in the last couple of years and students that have moved on from high school to college, and it seems like either their grandpa, maybe their uncle, or a cousin kind of got into it. So you kind of learned a little bit more and had some conversations. Was that a similar line of thought for your process? So you're kind of growing up, seeing what your dad does and asking him, and then maybe one day going, oh, that might be something interesting enough to learn more about.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the exact same as kind of what he's doing, but he's always just kind of been in the energy world, and it's just I've always had talked about this and that, and then we kind of just narrowed it down and like, yeah, this is a good thing for the future, and he's just talked with a bunch of people, and he knows that he thinks this will be good for the future.
Sawyer, for just looking at Kindred's football program, obviously you can go at every athletic program, but just looking at the football program here, what has been the secret sauce, so to speak, from what you've been able to see under Coach Burgad, obviously from Coach Crane a few years ago. Now Eric's taken it over and done a tremendous job in his own right. What has worked so well for number one for success on the field, but number two, seeing a good chunk of seniors that have moved on and had opportunities to play collegiately, whether it's been football or another sport that came through that program. What do you think the secret sauce is, so to speak, here, Sawyer?
I think it's our brotherhood. We're in the weight room all year round, all 12 months of the year. It's everyone. Hey, let's go 6:30 tomorrow. It's not, oh, I'm gonna go and it's just gonna be me. It's a brotherhood, and it's not just lifting, but we're doing everything throughout this, like, off season, in season. We're working with one another, and whether it's with a coach or without a coach, it's always with a group of guys, and it's never, oh, it's about me, it's about me. It's about more than you, and that's kind of, I think, a big thing that we've understood throughout the last few seasons, and it's something bigger than yourself.
And the one thing too, just taking a look at you specifically, a first team All State defensive player, obviously offense as well. Just kind of what's the position? Do you think? What's he get on campus or at Bethel, or is it, hey, we're going to get you on campus and see what kind of is the right fit once we get everybody into fall camp?
Right now, it's the plans to be running back next year.
Are you more of a offense or defense when it came to high school? Which one did you like? Because both provide their own opportunities, both provide unique things. But offense or defensively, were you like the one scoring a touchdown, or were you like the one wrapping somebody up before they got in the end zone, so to speak?
I was an offensive guy. I liked the just the scheme of everything, and just being able to run through someone and not get run over or try to get run over. And I don't know, I just like put my head down and try to run through people.
For you, Sawyer, just some favorite memories that come to mind. It could be on the football field. It could be with family or friends. It doesn't necessarily have to be a sport either, but what's a favorite high school memory or two that kind of comes to mind for you when you think about, Kindred Viking athletics or just anything when it comes to prep sports?
Mm. I'd say the bus rides and the locker room, just the experience, like that's where we're just post win, you're just vibing with the guys, and it's just a great, like I said earlier, we have just such a great brotherhood, and it's like everyone here loves each other, and we just want the best for each other, and now we're just partying together.
For you, Sawyer, if you could go back to your 13, 14-year-old self or tell someone who's chomping at the bit to get on a varsity field, a court, a track, whatever it might be, what would be some words of advice you'd like to pass down for someone that wants to be in your shoes, having a chance to maybe be an all-region, all-state player, someone who has a chance to go on and play collegiately? What would be some words of advice?
Yeah, I'd say never give up. I had many times that I was about to quit, but I'm glad that I stuck it out and just giving 100% in everything you do. Like, I had the mindset, I'm going to be the hardest worker on the field every single day, on the field, in the weight room, whatever I'm doing, I'm going to be the hardest worker, and there's no one that's going to outwork me. So I just, making a new mindset and not being, getting almost bullied, but like putting other people like down, or not down. That sounds bad, but just like putting the hammer on people where like, you're going to be the hardest worker. I'm going to outwork you. So.
Yeah, no, I think we understand what you mean. You're going to try to be the more aggressive person to get the extra rep and get to practice a little bit early, film studies. The other thing, too, it's been a little different. High school sports during your tenure has changed a little bit, right? Whether it's been basketball to 3 classes, seeing what football has done. Are you in Division A or in Division AA, all that type of stuff, Sawyer? So what was football like now, being in AA, just seeing maybe some different teams that instead of the Sargent counties of the world, you're going up against a Grand Forks or a Fargo school. What was that like on the gridiron this year?
I mean, it's obviously different, seeing bigger guys, seeing a lot bigger teams. We were probably one of the smallest teams in AA, and just going in, but it was the same mindset, we're not gonna quit for you. Just because you're bigger than us, we're not gonna have a different mentality. We're gonna go in there and we're gonna have the mentality that we're just gonna kick your butt. So.
Sawyer, as you go through the last couple months of the school year, outside of maybe a final project or two that's coming up, anything that you're looking forward to, whether it's sports, whether it's academics, or just something to hang out with the friends one more time, what are you most looking forward to here before you get to that graduation day coming up at Kindred?
I'd say tracks. Hopefully getting to state track would be awesome. Last year it was super fun, and just again, it's just being with people. People are everything, and I just love getting to be with people and have fun.
And speaking of the track, Kindred's got a new track this year. How exciting is that, just to kind of break that on in at your senior year before it's all said and done, to see all the time and effort that went into that over the summer months here?
Yeah, it's awesome. Getting to be the first crew on there and just go out there and know that we get to work hard on it and break it in and hopefully start a new legacy on that track. And whether that's track or around in the inside with the football field, just going out there and let the next generation go.
Hey, Sawyer, thanks much for your time. Congratulations on your commitment to Bethel, and best of luck coming up here in the next couple months of your senior year.
Thank you.
Again, that does it for the YourLiveEvent.com Coaches Show, as presented to you by the Hillsborough Economic Development Corporation. Join us next week on Wednesday, March the 11th for another edition at 7 o'clock. I'm Chase Miller, and join us for more high school sports on YourLiveEvent.com. Coming up here this weekend with Minnesota basketball sectional tournaments, North Dakota Division A girls basketball, state audio only in Jamestown. Got a flurry of hoops coming at you here over the next couple of days on Your Live Event.